This is the 2022 Ford Explorer Timberline in the brand new forge green that's here for the 2022 model year. It looks pretty nice. Like if you look at the contrast, it almost looks black on this side, but as we get into the light, dark green. It looks really sharp. Now, this is just going to be a basic walk around on the Timberline version of the Explorer. If you're looking for a little bit more of an understanding, like how to use the steering wheel buttons, the instrument cluster, or using the Sync 3 media screen, check down in the description below. I've put together some comprehensive videos for you to watch there as well. Now, before we unpack this thing, I do want to give Formula Ford a huge shout out and thank you for giving me access to this vehicle to shoot the video for you guys today. You can find Formula's contact details down below. You can find the build link for this Explorer down below on top of that, and some links off to the Ford.com and the .ca website. But let's unpack this thing because it looks really nice. So the Timberline version of the vehicle has a few things that are going to be unique. So starting off, we've got this beautiful 18-inch tire, nice black wheel. Love it. The rim is fantastic. We've got these beefy all-terrain tires as well. Because the Explorer trimline of the Timberline trim level of the Explorer is meant more for off-road capabilities. So if your intended purpose for your Explorer is off-roading, the Timberline should probably be on your list. We've got these LED headlamps there, we've got our fog lamps, and even looking at some of the basics, like this reminds me of the Tremor F-150. We've got this nice orange highlight right along the front of the bumper into our front tow hooks, also going to be exclusive to the Timberline version of the Explorer. You're not going to get tow hooks in any other version of the Explorer, strictly in the Timberline. Along the very bottom, we've got a nice bottom part of the bumper there, steel bash plate, which is great. So again, for those off-road purposes, but I want you to take a peek underneath the front end. So you're going on a little bit of a hike. A really great look underneath there, as you can see. Some things that you can't see, can't make out. Off to the sides there. Fairly sharp. And then one thing right in the front here. So we've got our black Ford logo along the front, and we also do have our front-facing camera. So we've got our front-facing camera, we've got side view mounted cameras on top of that. So on our side view mirrors, and then we've got our backup camera. So this thing does have the 360 camera standard inside of the vehicle. Again, really useful if you're going to be going off-road. So few things that are unique, as I pointed out in the front there with our tow hooks, with some of the unique looks as well. But this thing also has an upgraded rear axle ratio on top of that. So it's a TORSEN differential, and big benefit there, it's going to help out with some added performance. So again, if you're looking for more of that off-road ruggedness out of an Explorer, the regular Explorer is good. The Timberline kicks it up a little bit of a notch though. We've got Timberline badges all over the place, right along the door, both on the driver-passenger side, and the liftgate there as well. Looking at fuel quality inside of the Timberline, it's just going to be your regular gas, so 87 octane is all you need to use inside of this thing. And the reason why is because this thing is powered by the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. So let's go have a quick peek. Just going to pull twice to release, and getting underneath the hood, pretty straightforward. So we pulled twice to release, so we lift up, but we still do have our bar there. So not on hydraulics, unfortunately, but easy enough to toss up at the same time. So taking a peek underneath the hood here, 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine, pushes out 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. So it's a good amount of power and good fuel efficiency all at the same time. Now, one thing, you can only get the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine inside of the Timberline. You do have the option for the 3-liter twin instead, and that's going to be inside of the ST version of the Explorer, as well as the Platinum and the King Ranch if you're down in the States. But you can't get that 3-liter inside of the Timberline, unfortunately, but still good performance at the same time. So as you can see there, we can easily check our oil, easily top up fluids as necessary. Now, a few other things that are unique to the Timberline version of the Explorer. We do have our off-road front struts, and then we also do have some off-road shocks for the back there as well. So let's take a quick peek underneath the back end of the vehicle. Going for a ride again. So a few things you may be able to make out, but as I mentioned, off-road shocks, which are going to be standard inside of the Timberline, because as I mentioned, this thing is meant more for off-road performance. But the back end styling of this thing is great. Nice tail lamps, again with that Timberline badge. our Explorer badge along the side. We've got our backup camera, reverse sensing system, and then our trailer tow package down there as well. So this thing can pull the Explorer in general up to 5,600 pounds, but we've got our 4 7-pin provisions there on top of that. Now, the liftgate inside of the Timberline is going to be power, so we could use the key fob. Under that last R in Explorer, there's a button there, and we can push that as well in order to get into the trunk of the vehicle. So pretty straightforward. We'll get into the trunk last. Let's go check out the front end. We have to check out the driver's seat, see what's going on. Some other tech, we do have our blind spot system. Lets us know if anybody's into the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. We've got our 5-digit keypad there, so we can press the top 2 buttons to lock. Intelligent access on top of that. But look at the door. You might just be able to make it out, but it's got this dark green leather throughout the door there. And then we've got this nice looking highlight that follows all the way throughout the dash as well. Looks sharp, but some highlights along the door, like this green, looks really sharp. We've got this nice metallic highlight that follows all the way throughout. Typical Explorer styling. We do have our storage along the door on top of that. Adjuster side view mirrors, base window controls, and then our unlock and our lock button. We've got our Explorer scuff plate along the side. Driver's seat is going to be a power adjust, so forwards, backwards, up and down. We can adjust our backrest, and then we can also adjust our lumbar support. That green leather that follows all the way throughout the door follows all throughout the seats as well. So it is Ford's ActiveX seating material, but it's got this great looking orange stitching. Again, borrowing that look from the Tremor. We've got our unique Timberline logo in the middle of the seat. So it's like a mix. We've got our ActiveX seating material with like a cloth insert right along the middle on top of that. But I love it, like that orange stitching follows all the way through the seats, even on the steering wheel. Look at the nice highlight along the wheel there. Looks sharp. Typical Ford styling there. So we've got our trunk release, so we can open and close from the inside, figure out what's going on with our running lamps. We can turn on all of our different aux switches there as well, so auxiliary power. We can turn our fog lamps on or off as well. Increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. And then we also do have a manual telescoping steering wheel. But I like the highlights. Look at this. Again, it follows through this nice kind of metallic look. It's really sharp looking, but it's really just only in the dash there, because as we move down the center stack, we do have that same metallic highlight that we saw along the door as well. But the steering wheel looks great. We've got our black Ford logo along the middle of the wheel rather than the traditional blue logo instead. So that's changed out because we're in the Timberline version of the Explorer. But some great technology inside of this thing on top of that. We do have our adaptive cruise control system, and that's part of the Ford Copilot 360 Assist Plus package, which is going to be standard inside of the Timberline version of the vehicle. But it's nice. It's your set it and forget it cruise control. We've got a few other base buttons there, and then our regular cluster screen. So we've got our analog speedometer and tachometer, and then just our base cluster screen there. But if you want to walk around on how to use the cluster screen or using any of these buttons, check in the description for that walk around. We are going to be push button start inside of the vehicle on top of that. And then we are on our Sync 3 media screen still for the Timberline version of the Explorer. We've got a little storage tray down here, a series of different buttons for volume, for tuning, things like that. We do have heated front row seats, heated steering wheel, dual zone climate control, and a number of other things. And one of the cool things, we've got a 360 camera built in. So we've got the option of going full 360, front partial view, front 180 view, or back to that 360 look instead. So it is nice. Now, as we start to move down the center stack there, so we do have this little button in order to show off a few things. So we've got some power points. So a regular 12-volt power point, USB, as well as our USB-C, a little phone holder, some cup holders. We've got our rotary dial there, parking brake, auto hold setting. We've got some things for traction control, downhill control, and then, okay, so hold on. There are a few things going off there because I've got quite a few things open, but we've got a series of different drive modes that are available for this thing as well. So our normal, eco, sport, and our tow mode. Yeah, we know the vehicle's on. We know the doors are ajar. Come on, come on. And then back the other way, we've also got the slippery mode, trail mode, as well as our deep snow and sand. So I do say this all the time, each mode is going to do something different, and it's just going to depend on what you need out of the vehicle at the time. So if you're going to be going off-roading, you've got that off-road setting versus deep snow conditions and things like that. But moving back down there, so as you can see, we do have a little storage space there as well. We have the option for wireless charging inside of the Timberline, but we do have our USB ports there as well, which are useful. We've got that same stitching that follows through the seat into this armrest. Lifting up the armrest there, we do also have another 12-volt power point off to the side. So powering some things up, quite a few different spaces to do it. And there also is this tray, which should be in there actually, right there. So removable tray. And as we start to move up overhead, so we do have our manual dimming rear view mirror. From there, we've got our base controls for the interior lights, sunglasses holder. We've got our visor, vanity mirror with our light built in as well as a business card holder. Oh, the Timberline does have the option for a sunroof. It's available as an option from the factory. So if you want the roof, have to be done as an order from the factory. But I mean, even without it, it still looks fairly nice. So it's going to be a matter of preference. But I mean, obviously, if you're going heavy duty off-roading, you probably don't want the sunroof anyways in case you tip. But here nor there, it's going to be a matter of preference. But I like the seat, nice and comfortable. Now here's the thing, with the seat all the way damn. Okay, so with the seat all the way down, this is ridiculous. What's that, like almost 6 inches of headspace, like plus. That's wild. And then even when you get into the option with the sunroof, it does give us about 4.5 roughly inches of headspace. So you lose a little bit of space there when we get the roof. But I mean, you're tall, like 6'6", you'll probably be able to comfortably fit inside of this thing, which is definitely a nice thing. But we've got some base safety settings there, so make sure you check the back seats. So having said that, let's see what's going on in the back row. So same base styling that we saw in the front. We've got that green ActiveX material. We've got all of our orange stitching, which again follows through the seat. Really nice. Now a few other things to point out. So we do have our manual adjust for the seat itself. We've got a few different things that we can do. So we can fold the seat down if we want to. Back up. Oh, actually, you might have seen that a second. So we do have our tether point. So if you've got front-facing, rear-facing child seats, not going to have an issue there. But we can take that in order to slide forward to hop into the third row. So I'm 6 feet tall, and I can comfortably sit inside of the third row of the Explorer. It's a little bit tight because, so I've got this seat set up for someone who's 6 feet, and if we move over, so I can sit in here comfortably, but if you look, not a ton of knee space. So I'd probably bug the person in the second row to move the seat forward a tiny little bit for me, but it still is fairly spacious all at the same time. But we've got a few different options for configurations for the Explorer as well. So this one is the regular 6-seat configuration, so we don't have any sort of console in the middle there. We do have the option to get a bench seat instead. So if you do need 7 seats inside of the vehicle, you can do that. So the Explorer is going to either have 6 or 7 seats. Obviously getting that done at time of ordering from the factory. You could technically do an aftermarket jump seat install. You just have to go through an NHTSA approved dealer or authorized seller in order to have that installed. So if you need that jump seat put in, you technically could get it done. It's just a couple bucks more than if you were to just do it from the factory, but it's there as an option. But other things to point out in the third row, there's not too much else back here. We've got some storage along the side, a little cup holder there, and then we've also got a little cargo hook. And it's going to be the same way along the other side there. But I do love that we've got this. So, I mean, if you don't need the bench seat, it is super convenient because, let's say we pull this seat back, lift it up, we can just pass through instead. So, I mean, obviously really easy to pass through. And the second row, slightly more comfortable than the third row, but no, not as comfortable as the first row. Still kind of nice though. Good amount of bounce, cushion. We have the option, so the one that we would use in order to fold the seat, we can also use that to recline it a tiny little bit. And up overhead from here, what do I get? 4.5 inches of headspace there. So a crazy amount of space looking at the first row, second row, third row is still kind of nice. Like I would, if I do the short straw, I would sit back there. I'd probably fight it like a tiny little bit, but there still is space. Like you could easily get 6 full-size versions of me in here. And then at the same time, you have, like I said, front-facing, rear-facing child seats. You've got all of your tether points. You've got your anchors down there as well. Now, a few things to point out. We've got some pockets along the driver-passenger side. Again, same thing with that nice green ActiveX material there. Up overhead, driver-passenger side, we've got our hook, lights, our base vent control there as well. And one thing behind the armrest, there are a few things that are missing, but a few things that are there. So we've got some USB power points. So another USB, USB-C. There's another 12-volt power point. And then we've also got some cup holders. Now, this is what's missing. because the Explorer technically does have the option, well, it's standard, I should say, second row heated outboard seats. So the driver passenger seat will be heated standard, but we've got the option of getting that removed at time of ordering from the factory. So if you want to save a couple bucks, I think it's what, $130. So you want to save a couple bucks, you do have the flexibility of getting the second row heated seats removed from the Timberline. For 130 bucks, I'd probably keep it in there myself because it's going to help out with resale value, but it's a matter of preference. One of the other great things is that we do have the flexibility of getting the auto start stop system removed. So that one that's potentially going to kill power when we come to a complete stop, if that drives you nuts, you do have the flexibility of getting it removed at time of ordering from the factory as well, which is amazing. But like I said, the seat is super comfortable. I do love the base styling of the seat itself. We've got two-way adjustable headrests for the second row, but one thing I didn't point out, headrests for the first row. Listen to this. Aha. So we've got four-way adjustable headrests for the first row, which is amazing. I love it when cars have that flexibility. But other things to point out back here, we've got our assist handles on both the driver passenger side and the second row there. No assist handle up overhead, but I mean, you're trailing, you'll be good here, so it's nice. Going for a walk, checking out the back. All right. Now, I did mention just regular 87 octane is all we need to use inside of this thing. Power liftgate along the top. We do have the flexibility of setting a unique height as well. So if the liftgate's a little bit too high for your garage, you could just pull down, and then we can also press if we want to set it to a unique height as well. So you've got that flexibility. Some things to point out along the back there. So we do have another hook there. So we've got 4 total. So we've got 2 in the very far part of the cargo area. And I mentioned we've got 2 also along the side there as well. So one on the driver, one on the passenger side. Now we do have the flexibility of folding down the seats very easily there. So as you saw, it is a manual process. So unlike the Limited where it's power, inside of the XLT and Timberline, it is going to be a manual release as well. So it's manual down, manual back up, and up there. But I mean, you saw that one-handed, it's really easy to do. So we just crank, drop, crank, drop. But look at the amount of cargo space that this thing has. And it is nice. Like we look at the base cargo space versus the depth with the third row folded down. And then I'm going to sneak a third measurement in the middle there. And that's if we have the second row seats folded down. So quite a little bit of space in the back of this thing. We do have some storage trays along the left and the right-hand side. Underneath, we've got a little bit more storage there as well. And then this whole thing, fully removable, which is going to reveal our spare tire. So this one is an 18-inch, but technically a mini spare tire. It's definitely nowhere near as beefy as the other tire was that we were looking at. And then, we've also got our little white spigot. So if you ever need to fill up using a jerry can, you're going there first. So putting that into the tank first in order to be able to fill up. One-handed, that's easy. But I love it. Nice and simple. Easily closed down from there. Now, as I mentioned, with the towing, we're anywhere from about 5,000 pounds up to 5,600 pounds inside of the Explorer. Nice badges along the side. We are strictly going to be 4-wheel drive, so that's the only option available for the Timberline. It doesn't matter if you're in Canada or the States. So I know down in the States, you guys technically have the option for rear-wheel drive in some of the Explorers, not in the Timberline though. Taking a peek over the top there. We do have the options for crossbars. We can install that aftermarket if we'd like to. We've got our shark fin antenna there as well. Rear windshield wiper, or window wiper, I guess I should say technically. Reverse sensing system there, but I love the beefy tires. Those black rims look great. We've got this nice rocker molding along the side there as well. Looks beautiful. The green though, it's different. Like I've got to say it's very different. Like I was looking at one of the Eruption Green Mustangs recently as well. I checked down in the description below for that walkthrough. But the Eruption Green versus the Forged Green, very different, but it looks really nice all at the same time. It's pretty cool. But that was a look at the Explorer Timberline. What did you think? And what do you think of the look and the layout of what they've done with it? I love some of the base highlights. I would have loved to have seen more of this orange throughout the doors, but it does look fairly sharp with that small amount of highlight there. It's still pretty nice. But If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your social networks, and think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And until I see you next time, take care.